And oh wait, that was weird. There was like a little lag in my Zoom. Is it going? It's going. Okay. Alrighty. So from your seated position, we're just gonna start from the top at the crown of the head and move down through the body. So starting with your head, we're going to take some gentle, easy neck rolls. So allow your chin to drop down to your chest and then slowly bring it up towards your right shoulder. Chin back to chest in the center. Chin up to your left shoulder. And you can move as slow as you want. Slow and gentle. And bring your chin back to center one more time. Let your head float back up. And then reach your fingertips out to your sides and down towards the mat. And this time, drop your right ear to your right shoulder. At the same time that you're bringing your ear to your shoulder, drop your shoulders down as you reach through your fingertips so that your ear is constantly chasing your shoulder. And then float your head back up to center, over to the other side. This time your left ear drops down towards your left shoulder. And let your head come back up to center one more time. We'll take a few shoulder rolls. So you can roll your shoulders back. You can roll them forward if that feels good. And then scrunch your shoulders up to your ears nice and tight. And then relax them down. Maybe one more time. Shrug them up. And then let them slide down the back. Bringing some blood flow into that neck and shoulder area. And then we'll take some torso circles. So starting to move down from the head and neck into the rest of the body. Lead with your heart and let the movement come from your hips. You can make these circles as big or as small as you want to. They could be itty bitty. You might start to get bigger, bringing the shoulders into it. And then reverse your circles, going in the opposite direction. And come back to center whenever you feel even and balanced on both sides. And we'll take some cat-cows, but we're going to do it from our seated position. So tee out your arms to the sides, flex your hands so that your fingertips are pointing behind you. And on your inhale, we'll bring our shoulders back and together. Lift your gaze. On your exhale, round your spine, bring your fingertips together, release your head and neck. Interlace your fingers and inhale your arms up overhead. And exhale, arms back out to your T. So we're starting to connect the breath with the movement. Inhale, arch your spine, lift your gaze. Exhale, round the spine, fingertips together. Inhale, arms up overhead. And exhale, hands back to the T. One last one. Inhale, cow, lifting your gaze. Exhale, cat, rounding the spine. Interlace the fingers. Inhale, arms up. And exhale, arms all the way down. You can shake them out if you need a little bit. And we'll do one more pose as we're seated here to start to move the spine in all directions. And you can make this as big or as small as you want, but we're just going to do a seated twist. So your right hand comes behind you for support as you sit up nice and tall, and then your left hand comes to your right knee. If this is enough twisting for you, you can stay right here. If you want to change up the intensity, you can start to look over your right shoulder. Now let the breath guide your twist. So as you inhale, think about lengthening the spine. And as you exhale and relax a little bit, you might fall into the twist a bit more. So let the breath bring you into it instead of trying to force it. And then slowly release your twist back to center and switch sides. This time your left hand comes behind you, right hand comes to your left knee. Sit up nice and tall. And let your breath drop you into a little baby twist on this side. Come back to center one last time. And we'll make our way into child's pose. So you can either straighten your legs out in front of you, roll over onto your side, and swing your legs behind you. Or if you're sitting cross-legged and it's okay on your knees, you can rock forward on your knees. So bring the knees wide to the edge of your mat and bring your big toes to touch. Send your hips back to your heels and then slide your hands forward. You can allow your forehead to rest on the mat, or you could even rest it on a block or blanket or pillow if you have something handy, if that feels good. And take a moment in child's pose to check in with your body. Notice if there's any areas of tension or pain. And if there are, you can just acknowledge them. And check in with your breath as well. No pressure to change anything about the way you breathe. In a vinyasa class or a faster flow, you might use your ujjayi breath and create that pattern of even inhales and exhales through the nose. And sometimes that will actually come naturally to me, even when I'm in a gentle class. But you don't have to change your breath. Sometimes bringing awareness to it may clue you into how you're feeling today. If your breathing is quicker than normal, if your breath is filling your chest but not your belly, or maybe it is. Maybe you're taking nice, long, deep inhales into your belly. So just kind of seeing where you're at. And from your child's pose, we're going to take a little side stretch while we're here. So without lifting up, start to inch your hands over towards your right side. And they don't have to move very far before you start getting a sensation in your left. Maybe your left arm up into your armpit, maybe in your rib cage and down to your hips. So you could feel this just about anywhere. Walk your hands back to the center and over to the left side this time, creating some lengthening in the right side body. And walk your hands back to center one more time. We're going to come up to tabletop position. So slide your hands back under your shoulders and then stack your hips over your knees so that you're on all fours in tabletop. And take some organic movement, whatever feels good to you right here. If you want to snake side to side or hinge back and forth a little bit. If you spread your fingers wide and press each finger into the mat firmly, and you hinge forward and back a little bit, you might get some sensation in your wrists, the inside of the wrist, the inside of the forearms. This can help if you're doing a lot of computer work lately. And then we'll move into a downward facing dog. We're not going to do chaturangas today, but I like to do at least one down dog so I get my inversion. I like to move my hands one handprint forward on the mat to give myself space. When you're ready, tuck your toes, lift your knees, lift your hips, and pedal out your down dog by straightening one leg and then the other. And then once your hamstrings are loosened up at least a little bit, see if you can even out the weight between your hands and your feet so that you have equal weight spread between the two. And then melt your heart towards your thighs. You want to create one long line from your wrists to your shoulders to your hips. So you're making an upside down V with your body. And take one more breath here. Gaze forward to the spot between your hands on the mat and then baby step your feet up to that spot. We're coming into a forward fold. You can have your feet hip width apart or you can have your big toes touching with your heels slightly apart. But let your head and neck release. And your arms dangle. You can sway your arms side to side if you like. You can rest your pinkies in your elbows. For some reason, I like to hold a lot of tension in my neck, and so I like to shake my head yes, shake my head no, shake it yes again, just to make sure I'm really letting go of that tension. And then we'll roll up slowly to standing, very slowly, like you're stacking each vertebra on top of the last. Maybe you engage your core just a teeny tiny bit to support the spine as you come up. But the very last thing to come up is going to be your neck and your head. And then shine your palms forward so that your shoulders slide down and back, away from your ears. And root down through your feet. See where your weight is. If your weight is up in the balls of your feet, if it's shifted back into your heels. And then see if you can find the sweet spot right in the middle where you feel the most balanced. Spread your toes wide and press them into the mat, into the ground. And keep a little micro bend in your knees so that you're not locking them out. Inhale your arms up overhead for extended mountain. And we'll take a little mini back bend, nothing too crazy, but cactus out your arms. So you're bending your elbows, opening the chest, lifting the chin as you take a little arch. And then inhale back up to extended mountain. And exhale, forward fold. Your hands can come through heart center. And from your forward fold, we'll come to a halfway lift. Inhale up. Your hands can come to your shins or your thighs. Squeeze your shoulder blades back and together. And your spine stays long. Exhale, forward fold. This time, plant your hands on the mat and you can step one foot back and you can keep that leg straight, or you can come to kneeling on that foot. Send the other foot back. And we're gonna come all the way down to our bellies. So I'll scoot around so you can see. From your belly, without putting a lot of weight in your hands, inhale, peel your chest up off the mat. We're coming into a low cobra. So it doesn't have to be very high to get that little back bend. Release back down to the mat. Inhale up again, little baby cobra. Release down. Inhale, peel your chest up off the mat. This time bring your forearms to the mat out in front of you. So we're coming into a Sphinx pose. And if you feel like your low back is getting real crunched up, scoot your elbows a little farther away from your chest, out in front of you, and find a good place where you're feeling some sensation in the front of the body. Because a lot of times back bends are more about opening up the front, opening up the chest and the heart, than they are about engaging the back muscles. And there's always both, because what you do on the front mirrors in the back, and what you do on the back mirrors in the front. But if you feel like the back is bearing the weight of this pose, scoot the elbows even farther away from you. And then think about pulling the chest forward through your elbows. Take one more breath here, and then release everything down onto the mat. If you want to, you can kind of windshield wiper your legs back and forth. That can loosen up the low back as well. And when you're ready, bring your hands under your shoulders. We're going to press ourselves back to tabletop position. If you've got a different way to get there, feel free to use whatever way works for you. Once we're in tabletop here, we're going to come into a kneeling crescent. So starting with the right foot, bring your right foot between your hands. If it doesn't quite reach, you can scoot it forward so that your knee is stacked over your ankle. And then once you've got your balance, bring your torso up. And then take a minute to kind of hinge back and forth, warming up the hips a little bit more. And then see if you can really square your hips to the front of the mat. So for me, my hips really like to open up. So I have to focus on bringing the left hip forward and then setting the right hip back into its socket so that they truly get squared. When you're feeling good about that, bring your arms up overhead. Reach them up tall. Take a breath here. On your exhale, bring your right hand behind you. Left arm comes forward, and we're taking a little twist towards our front leg. And I'm just going to flip around so that you can see me. I'm twisted towards the right leg. And bring both arms back up overhead as you come back to center. We're going to twist the other way. So this time your left arm comes back, right arm comes forward. Now you are opening up the hips a little bit. And we're going to come into kind of a modified extended side angle. So from here, reach forward a little bit and then tip over so that your left arm comes up and your right arm comes down. You can reach it down towards the mat, or you can rest that forearm on your thigh. You can gaze up at your left hand or down at your right foot, whatever floats your boat. And draw that left hand back a little bit, almost like someone's giving you a high five, and it's pulling your shoulder back enough to open up your chest. And we're going to reverse. So the left hand comes down, right hand comes up and over. And then bring both hands down to the inside of your front foot. We're going to set up for a little runner's lunge. So if you need to pad up your back knee, get a blanket or fold up your mat so it's a little extra cushy. And then scoot your right foot up to the right top corner of your mat. Find your runner's lunge. You can stay right here, or you can lower down onto your forearms. And we'll start to come out of our runner's lunge. Move nice and slow. Bring your hands under your shoulders. Push your weight back into your back knee as you scoot your right foot back to center. And then if you want to, you can actually continue to shift your weight back, straighten your front leg, and flex your front foot. If you want to add a little hamstring stretch in here. Some people like to sit all the way back on their heel for half saddle. I find I get more sensation in the hamstring if I stay lifted a little. This is a good angle for my body. And then when you've had enough of that, you can bend your right knee once again. Bring your hands down to the mat to frame your front foot. Send the front foot back. If you want to take a minute to stretch it out, shake it out, you can. Maybe make some hip circles if that feels good. And then come back to tabletop. This time we're going to step the left foot through between the hands. Scooch it up there. Find that place where your knee is tracking right over your ankle. And when you've got your balance, lift your torso up. You can bring your hands to your thighs or your hips. And you might want to hinge back and forward a little bit here if the hips still feel a little tight. And then square the hips to the front of the mat, maybe drawing the right hip forward and setting the left hip back into that socket. Inhale your arms up overhead. And then we're going to take a twist towards our left leg. So the left arm comes back, right arm comes forward. Take one more breath here. And then back up to center. And we're going to open up to the other side, bringing your right arm back, left arm forward. Let those hips open up a smidge. And I'll turn around so that I'm not facing the back wall. And from here, reach forward a little bit and then come into an extended side angle. Right arm up overhead. Left arm can reach down towards the ground, or that forearm can rest on your thigh. And open up the chest, open the front of the body. And reverse your arms. So your right arm comes down behind you, left arm comes up. Just to counter that pose a bit. And on your next exhale, bring both hands down to the inside of your front foot. We'll set up for runner's lunge on this side. So pat up your knee, scoot your left foot up to the corner. Find your runner's lunge on this side. You might need a little bit more time or a little bit less time on this side than you did on the other. So feel free to take that time, but when you're ready, you can bring your hands under your shoulders and shift your weight back, scooting your left foot back into center. And option to straighten that front leg, flexing the foot, taking a half saddle, or just finding a good juicy hamstring stretch. And bend that front knee once again. Set your hands down, send the front foot back. Stretch it out, shake it out, take some hip circles. Whatever's calling to you right now. And then we'll meet in child's pose again. From child's pose, press yourself back up to seated and find your way to sitting with your legs out in front of you, however you want to do that. And we'll move into a half staff pose. So I'm going to start with the right leg out straight this time and bring my left foot to the inside of my right thigh. And you can just let the knee fall out to the side, or you can stuff some blankets or pillows or props up underneath it if you want to make this a little more restorative. And if you're getting a good stretch right here, you can stay right here. If you like to fold forward over your leg, you can bring your arms up overhead and then hinging from the hips, lead with your heart over your leg. Once you can't go anymore with a flat back, then you can release your arms and you can let your back round if that feels okay for you. Slowly come back up. Walk your fingertips back towards your torso. And then extend both legs. Maybe shake them out a little bit. Windshield wiper. Bring some movement back in before you set up for the other side. And this time, bring your right foot to the inside of your left knee. Again, you've got the option to stay here, or if you want to fold forward, start with the arms overhead. Lead with your heart before you fully collapse over. Moving very slowly, start to bring yourself out of your forward fold, bringing your torso back up, sending both legs out in front of you to shake them out. And we're going to make our way onto our backs. So you can do that however you like to. You can swing your legs to the side, roll over on your hip, and then come to your back from there. And bring one leg up into your chest. Doesn't matter which one. And then bring the other one up to join it. So you're giving both your knees a good hug. You can rock side to side. You can make little circles on the ceiling with your knees. And our last pose will be a happy baby. So you can use your two peace fingers to grab onto your big toes, or you can take hold of the outside of your feet with each hand and kick your feet into your hands as you use your arms to draw your knees in towards your armpits and move your heels away from each other. And you can stay stationary or you can rock a little bit if that does feel good for you. Some people like to straighten one leg and then the other, but my arms are not long enough for that, so I won't do that. And then bring your knees into your chest one last time, one last hug before you set up for your final Shavasana. And for that, you can put your feet flat on the mat with your knees bent and knocked together. This is a good option if you have some low back pain, or you can extend one leg and then the other so that both of your legs are straight, and let your feet fall open to the sides. You can rest your arms down by your sides, or you can rest a hand on your belly or a hand on your chest so that you can feel your breath and your heartbeat. Once you find your pose for Shavasana, let your arms and legs start to feel heavy. Your limbs feel heavy, but at the same time, they're supported by the earth, so that you know you can release any tension that you're using to hold yourself up. If you notice any areas of tension or pain, breathe fresh, oxygenated air into those places, into those tight muscles. And as you exhale, imagine that pain, that tension dissipating. It just turns to mist and floats away. And start to deepen your breathing. Feel your belly rise and fall with each breath. Feel the places where your body is resting on the ground, and the ground feels solid underneath you. Once you bring some awareness into where your body is in space, you can start to bring some movement, maybe just some small movement into your fingers and your toes. You can roll your wrists and your ankles. And when you're ready, roll over onto your side, bending your knees in towards your body a little bit. You could even use your arm as a pillow. And taking your time when you're ready, use your hands to press yourself back up to seated. And if your eyes are still closed, you can flutter them open to let some light in. And I hope you feel ready for the rest of your Thursday. Thank you so much for doing yoga with me today. Namaste. Hope to see you later.